Hello and welcome to FolioWeb. In this 7th video in the Quick Start series, we're going to be dealing with creating hyperlinks to your supplemental materials from your vita. The process begins by making sure you have your supplemental materials uploaded. Then you want to make sure that your vita is updated so that the places that you're actually going to create those links are there, so that if you're linking to an article, you have a citation in your vita that corresponds to the material that you've uploaded to that article. You're going to use the Manage page in FolioWeb to find the hyperlinks to your supplemental materials. The Manage page we haven't seen yet in previous videos, but it'll show us all of the hyperlinks to the supplemental materials that we've been assiduously uploading to this point. We're going to identify the locations, and in the language of hyperlinking it's called the targets or target text, and this is the actual text in our vita that will become blue and underlined. It'll become the actual link, so we'll call that the target text. That's going to become the hyperlink in our vita. So we have to decide what word or phrase, very often the title, will become the hyperlink in our vita. So that's kind of just an aesthetic judgment more than anything technical. Then we're going to highlight that target text and choose Insert Hyperlink. When the Insert Hyperlink dialog box opens, all we have to do at that point is paste the address that we've copied from the Manage page directly into that dialog box, click OK, and we're done. So I'm going to go back to my RPT demo files and open up my Vita. And it's just a standard Microsoft Word Vita, the kind that we've been working on our whole careers. Jane Faculty sample Vita here, organized very conventionally, education, professional experience, honors awards, and then I'm going to get down to our research, teaching, and service. All kind of conventionally organized, nothing all that exciting or fancy here at all. So our challenge now really is to turn our Vita into the table of contents for our file. It's not crazy, a little crazy, but not completely crazy, to think about virtually everything in the Vita becoming a hyperlink. Now again, it's a little crazy. But for example, if you're a recent graduate and you really want to tell people about how special your training has been, it wouldn't be crazy to create a hyperlink to the Educational Psychological Studies program by highlighting that and turning that into a hyperlink. If you've had a position at another institution that had a particularly well-known or prestigious program, it wouldn't be crazy to have a hyperlink to that program within your professional experience. And certainly if you've received an award and you want people to understand the significance of that award, you could simply create a hyperlink to that award. So it's obviously very straightforward when you get down to things like articles, where you just want to create a hyperlink to the article, whether it's a hyperlink to a website that houses that article or to a document you've uploaded as a supplemental material. But the idea is the same. You create a hyperlink to that article, and then the reviewer looking at your file while they're in your Vita clicks on that link and that article just appears on their screen and they see it very conveniently. So it's not crazy to think about your Vita becoming kind of the table of contents. Now there's a whole bunch of stuff that you wouldn't think that way for, again, unless you were advised to the contrary by your local unit administration. So for example, if you are like a lot of folks and you've done a lot of conference presentation things, you might be tempted, hopefully you wouldn't be, you did a PowerPoint presentation at that local conference. So I'm going to link to my PowerPoint. You could, but again, put yourself in the shoes of the reviewer. Do you really expect that person to, if they're reviewing 60 files, to look at dozens of PowerPoints in your Vita? You certainly could do that, but I would avoid the temptation to be comprehensive. Instead, highlight quality instead of quantity here. Now when you get down to your teaching section, for example, you could have links to syllabi. So for example, this course, Managing Technological Change, I could make that a hyperlink to an uploaded syllabus. I might have a website here that I could link to. It says online, so I could have make that say website instead. And I could, in fact, let's just do that for fun. I happen to know that the website for this one, Designing Multimedia, is website. I'll make you a link to the website. But then I might also, for example, have fall of 2010 SSIs. And I've uploaded those SSIs as a PDF, say 30 students in that class. I've scanned those SSIs and I've uploaded those as well. I might have, fall of 2009 SSIs. I might have, I'm very proud of the midterm exam I wrote for that class. So I might want to link to that as well. So each one of these little phrases here, each one of these short little titles could become a hyperlink to a supplemental document I've uploaded already. Down in my service section, I might have received a very nice letter from the chair of the Faculty Senate thanking me for my work as a member of the Committee on Administrative Officers. So I have that uploaded, and I could put a hyperlink to that. Now again, here's a place where you want to exercise good judgment and avoid the temptation to include everything and the kitchen sink. Do you really need to have a, if it's just kind of a pro forma letter that says, thank you for your service on blah, 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 have a nice day? Well, many of us have file folders full of that stuff. If, on the other hand, the letter really is specific and talks about your substantive contribution based on your scholarship, based on your expertise, that nobody else could have done that work besides you, and it really was an important, significant effort that required your specific skills, that's the kind of letter you would include. You probably would avoid including letters that were much less sort of profound in their nature. So use good judgment here, and again, seek advice if you are struggling a little bit with what to include and what not to include. You could include lots and lots of hyperlinks to a variety of different kinds of materials, grant proposals, conference brochures and materials. All of it could be included here, but use your best judgment on what puts your dossier in the best light for the reviewer. And again, if you are remembering that your file is going to be reviewed at multiple levels, so the audience locally may be more tolerant of all kinds of technical details, and the audience down the road might skip over stuff more. So consider your audience at all levels as you're making decisions on what to put in and what to leave out of your in this case digital dossier that's going to be made up of hyperlinks from your vita. And here's a good place to just mention that we're highlighting hyperlinking in the vita, but of course it's the exact same process if you wanted to include some hyperlinks in your contextual statement. A very similar idea. You would again identify the themes, your impacts, the greatest hits in your contextual statement, and link to maybe some of the same artifacts that you've uploaded as part of your supplemental materials. Okay, so I have my Vita open, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm working on Windows 7, which has a kind of nice little feature. I just drag this over, and it creates a split screen, and I'm going to make this even a little smaller so I can have my whole Vita display at once, so I can navigate easily. And now I'm going to go back to FolioWeb, and I'm going to log in as Jane Faculty, and I'm going to go to the My Portfolio Manage page. And I'm going to choose the main directory. I have several directories to choose from, but I've kept things simple, and I've stored my stuff in the main directory, and I'm going to click on that. And now what I can see here is a list of all of the materials that I've uploaded. And in our earlier video on uploading supplemental materials, you saw me do a few of these, and those things are available to me here. But let's stick with this thing here, JFaculty 2011A _ clickers. And notice that there is the URL to that, the hyperlink to that article I've uploaded. Now on the Manage page you can do some things here. You can delete, you can view, but really at this point what we really care about is just this list of links. You can check the article to make sure, maybe the name's a little confusing here. I can click on it and open that article again. Yep, that's the one I want. But what I really want to do is just copy this hyperlink. So I just clicked off to the right a little bit and dragged across. And now since I like to use the right click, I'm just going to right click on that and choose copy. If you're familiar with keyboard shortcuts, you can do Control-C, or if you're not familiar with any of that, you can find that all up under the Edit menu, Copy. Now I'm going to drag this guy over because I'm going to want to come back to that, and I'm a little cursed with having a small screen for our video demonstration, but I can kind of get a lot of stuff done here, I think. So now what I have is just kind of this navigation set up. So I have my Vita open on one side, my Manage page open on the other, and I'm going to go back and forth, and I'm going to find that this process is going to get to be pretty easy once I sort of develop a rhythm to do it. So I'm going to come down to my publication section here, and I'll zoom in a little bit. And it turns out that the thing I just copied, that JFaculty 2011A clickers, corresponds to this article using audience response systems. So I've highlighted that article. And just because the video makes this a little easier to see, I'm going to zoom it to the full screen here. So I've highlighted the target text, that is the stuff that will actually become blue and underlined, that will become the actual hyperlink. I've highlighted that just the same way I've highlighted it to make it italic previously, or if I wanted to make it bold or something else like that. Just highlight it. Now I can go to the Insert menu and find links. Click on Hyperlink. We've copied the address from the Manage page. So what I really want to do here is just ignore everything else. Ignore all the stuff here. There's a lot of things to, tempt me to get trapped. But nope, I'm just going to click right here and paste the hyperlink. That's it. There's my hyperlink. I didn't have to type a thing. I just got it off the management page. I clicked OK, and there's my hyperlink. Let's go do a typed in hyperlink, and you'll see it's kind of the same process. Remember, in my teaching section, I have this website thing here. So I'm going to highlight that, and this time, instead of using the insert menu, I'm just going to right click because it's the same thing. Right click and choose hyperlink. And I happen to know that this URL is HTTP, and it has to be the whole URL. You can't just do www something or other. This is www.folioweb.org/itech/multimedia is the homepage for this course. I'm going to click on OK, and I've created that hyperlink. Now let's go back to the Manage page and find these SSIs for fall of 2010. I don't really have them, but we'll pretend I do. So back at the Manage page, I have these things here called Teach Evals. So I'm going to copy that, highlight it first, right click and choose Copy, and then come back to my vita, highlight I'm going to try to avoid the spaces here, and if I need to I can zoom in. Makes my mousing a little more precise. Needs to have a space there. So I'll do that. And again, right click, hyperlink, and paste the URL from my Manage page. So you can see that there's kind of two different ways of working here. One is to paste the hyperlink directly from the management page after I've copied it, and the other one is to type it. If I know the link, I've jotted it down, maybe it's a simple website that contains an article that I've uploaded or something like that, I can just type in the link directly there if I can't browse to it and paste it. So type it, copy and paste it, whatever you prefer. I could copy it from a web page if I wanted to, like browse to that web page, copy it in the address bar. That would be fine. Let me caution you against one little potential pitfall here that some people encounter, and it's a hard one if you work this way to avoid. So this is an example of something that I would recommend not doing. There's a thing here called Browsed Pages. If you click on this, it's going to show you stuff you've done recently. Now the problem with doing this is that it's pretty easy sometimes to leave off part of the link. That one, by the way, would work just fine, maybe, probably. But it's pretty easy to do something like this and to leave off the HTTP part. And very often what Word will do to you here is substitute something like this, the file. And this is a dreadful mistake that will happen. When you click on a link like this that begins with file, it's linking to a file on my C drive. Now, what's unfortunate about this is I'm going to go ahead and click on OK here and save everything and upload it, and it's all going to look great because I'm still on my computer, and it's linking back to a file on my computer, and it's going to work just great. But it's only going to work great for somebody, me, using my computer. Anybody else doesn't have access to this file. So that's why I say try to ignore this stuff. If you're going to paste a hyperlink, take the extra step and copy and paste it from your browser. Paste it in here. Don't use the browsed pages. People run into problems when they do this here. Okay, so I would strongly recommend, just a pitfall that comes up quite often is ignore all of these buttons and just stick with copying and pasting from your browser or the portfolio, the Manage page in Folio Web, or just hand type. But don't use these functions. Ordinarily they work fine, but it's so here's another safety mechanism that you want to try to employ. Once you've created everything and everything seems to be working, it's a good idea to have a buddy, significant other, check your links to make sure they work on a different computer, because you know that your reviewers are going to be using a different computer than the one that you're creating them on. So just to make sure that your links are working, it's a fairly common mistake to just accidentally throw in a typo or accidentally have something a little off. It's hard to make a mistake like that, but it happens, and the safety mechanism is just to have somebody else quickly run through and check your hyperlinks. Buy them a beer, pizza, or flowers. Good investment in your own quality control here. Creating hyperlinks, very simple process. First, I copy the link, or I'm ready to hand type it, but again, copying and pasting is better. Select the target text, right-click and choose. In this case, since I already have one, I'm going to do Edit Hyperlink, and paste in the link. Click OK, and you've got your hyperlink all set to go. So the greatest challenge in creating hyperlinks in FolioWeb is managing your screen, frankly, to have the Manage page open and your vita open at the same time and get into kind of a comfort back and forth rhythm. This is a good thing to do as your sort of second to last activity in FolioWeb. This is kind of like after all your materials are uploaded, your vita's up to date, your statement's all written, you know exactly what you're linking to from either place. Then it's just kind of a quiet afternoon of going back and forth, copying, pasting, and getting it all done. And for most people, it's a very straightforward process. Once you get in the rhythm, this each one takes you probably about 10 or 15 seconds to do, so it's not a very arduous task at all. But again, it's a good thing to do to get your hyperlinks going. Once it's saved and uploaded, test them from a computer other than your own to make sure that they're working properly.